those of you who have not seen these before, I am a nutrition major and I took a vitamins and minerals course and made a flashcard for every single one. And I'll just be explaining the function of each one and what the deficiencies are like, how much of it you should have every day, and what food sources you can get them from. So I handpicked some really common ones that are typically on like nutrition labels and stuff like that. So it'll be pretty interesting for you. So yeah, we're starting off with vitamin C. Vitamin C, which is also known as ascorbic acid. Ascorbic acid. So on this flashcard here, I just have a little picture of some teeth, and what the actual vitamin C looks like, and just some pictures of the deficiency. The teeth are on here because it's also part of the deficiency, but I'll get to that. So, the main function of vitamin C is that it is an antioxidant, and that word gets thrown around a lot, but I figured I could very simply explain what an antioxidant is, just so you can kind of get the gist of just means the condition of having low levels of magnesium in the blood. So it can cause tremors, seizures, hallucination, muscle weakness. If you have high levels of calcium, it can increase the calcification of soft tissues, and it can cause cardiovascular damage. And by the way, these deficiencies are like severe deficiencies, so not like, oh, I didn't have magnesium today, so my heart's gonna fail. No. This is like severe deficiency. Okay, I don't want to scare anyone. Some food sources are nuts, legumes. So legumes is like beans and lentils, things like that. Seeds, leafy green veggies, so kale, stuff like that. It is also the core atom of chlorophyll. So chlorophyll is the stuff that makes plants green. So it's in the center of a chlorophyll atom, or it's the core atom in chlorophyll. It's in hard water, so hard water just means like it contains minerals. So like for example, if you in pipes, if you've ever noticed that they get I don't know how to explain things. I'm so tired. Like they get clogged with minerals, whatever, hard water. They're also in laxatives and like Rolaids and stuff like that. My favorite source of magnesium though is chocolate and avocado. So not listed here, but yeah. Okay, next is iron. Let's see. So iron is part of heme. Heme. It's the heme is in hemoglobin in your blood, and in a heme group, which is part of hemoglobin as a whole, there's an iron at the center of it. And that's why like iron, I guess I'll talk about it in a second. It's important for enzymes and cellular function. So things like the electron transport chain, if you've taken your biology, it's important for physical growth, and it is both a pro-oxidant and an antioxidant. So it's kind of wishy-washy that way. The RDI is 8 milligrams for males and 18 for women, and that's because women get their period and you lose blood, so you need more iron because you're losing that hemoglobin blood, right? Okay. And if you are vegetarian or vegan, you need to multiply your respective milligrams by 1.8. You need 1.8 times more, because plant sources of iron are not as available for the body, so they're not as bioavailable. They're harder to absorb, so you would need more I say something, like osteomalacia, and he's like, what? So I'm sorry if I'm saying a word that, like, doesn't make sense, but I'm trying to check myself. I'm just very used to being surrounded by other nutrition students who know exactly what I'm talking about. But I really want to also share information in a way that people can understand. So if you have any questions, like if you're genuinely curious, and I just totally went over a point and didn't make sense, just let me know, okay? Anyways, so calcium, it's really important, as we all know, for bone growth, specifically in mineralization, and so calcium is a mineral, and the mineralization part is just kind of like, it's important to make sure that the bone is like hard and it's like strong. Yeah, if that makes sense. It's important for teeth formation, skeletal muscle contractions. So, I don't know if any of you have taken like physiology before, but calcium is really important for like there's certain like ion channels. That might be too much. I don't know. It's important for nerve transmission, blood clotting, and RDI is 2.4 micrograms, so you do not need a lot. And it's in like any animal food, like all animal sources have B12 in it. So it's not anything you have to worry about if you're not like vegan. If you're vegetarian, you know, if you're having milk and eggs and stuff like that, you don't have to worry about it. But if you are vegan and you know, you're not eating foods that are fortified, for example, my oat milk has B12 in it. I also sprinkle nutritional yeast on my food, and that has B12 in it. My bread, I think, is fortified with B12. And I still take a supplement, like every once in a while, just to make sure that I'm good. And yeah, the deficiency is anemia. So, yeah, it's a little complicated, but it's very important. It's very important. That's why, if you're vegan, you really do need to take B12. But let's see if there's anything on the front here. Yeah, okay. Okay, so it kind of, this little part on the front helps explain what a deficiency of B12 looks like. You get really tired and weak, and you can get irreversible degeneration of the nervous system. So it can be often mistaken for, like, the signs and symptoms of dementia are very similar to a B12 deficiency. And yeah, so take your B12 or eat your meats and stuff. Okay, let's see, we have zinc, riboflavin, that one's an interesting one, niacin, folate. That one's mostly important for like pregnancy and stuff. Let's see, which one should I do? Riboflavin or zinc or niacin? I think zinc is more common. Perhaps we'll do zinc. Okay. So zinc, it is a constituent of around 100 enzymes. It's really important for gene expression, but I think what it's mostly known for is your skin. So it's important for skin integrity, and it helps improve wound healing. If you have low levels of zinc and you take zinc, it'll help improve your wound healing. But if you have like sufficient levels of zinc already and you take more zinc, it won't really make a difference. You actually need zinc to taste, which is interesting. It helps mobilize vitamin A from the liver. It's important for carb metabolism. Let's see. And it's important for reproduction and growth. The deficiency, which you may guess is impaired growth. Let's see. It can cause dermatitis, alopecia, lack. I don't know if that's YouTube appropriate. It's bad for men to be deficient in it, let's just say that. Dystrophy and degeneration this interesting or relaxing, because there is like a million more flashcards where that came from. So let me know if you enjoyed this, because I can do more videos like this. And if you do want more videos like this, let me know what level of detail you want me to go into, because since this is like a bird division nutrition course, a lot of the information is like geared towards people who have taken previous nutrition courses. So a lot of the terms are kind of like, you had to see the last few episodes to get this one, if you know what I mean. So let me know if you want me to like, I don't know, expand on it more, or if you just find it relaxing to just hear me ramble on about it, and you don't really care at all, because I totally understand. But yeah, I love you all so